Hi, I'm Deepa,
the founder of Ishmi.com. This is our new podcast where we want to feature phenomenal women amongst us who do so many things that they can just leave us feeling dizzy, and yet they find time for themselves to invest in their me time. Let's welcome our guest for today, Sujata Vijay, who has 20 years of experience in the teaching profession and is the director of Bambula Preschools, which is the number one rated preschool in Chennai and nationally ranked 7th. Not only did she successfully start and run the number one preschool in Chennai, she managed to get great valuation for the brand that she built and sold Bambula brand to a leading education company after running it successfully for 20 years. She now has gone on to co found Asana, a wellness initiative focused on gut and colorectal health, bridging modern medicine with lifestyle based solutions. As you can see, our guest for today is a phenomenal woman who does too many things which I cannot sit and chat about. So we'll move to her and let her explain for herself. Hi, Sujata, welcome.
Hi Deepa, good to meet you again.
So, tried to introduce you, but it won't do justice to all the things that you do.
Well,
I can't wait for the guests to hear after what you want to do professionally, what all you manage to do in your me time, but that's for later. Right now, tell us what you're wanting to do further.
as you correctly mentioned, Bambula has been a fabulous journey. So we started in 2004 with 4 children, and 2019 we maxed out at around 400 children at one of the centers, and of course we were providing daycare services to multiple international schools and companies. So we had an average of about 4,000 children enrolled. So the journey has been phenomenal, from 4 children in one center to multiple centers and offering our services. So now, thanks to lockdown, we had to go online, but it was so difficult to work with children of that age group online.
I can imagine.
And so that's when we decided that we have to do something different. And then I got myself certified in special need children, and it has been a complete revelation. I mean, it's like I've always worked with children, obviously, for over 20 years. And so this is a completely different ball game, and every day is a learning, and I'm completely enjoying this new learning process that I'm going through. So I am working with the government and also with private sectors to help improve the quality for special need children, try to bring in inclusive education for them, because it is so difficult to find the right environment, especially in Chennai. I think we are so much behind. So it is going to be a long drawn journey, but I am very excited about it.
What made you get into this preschool place in the first place?
Well, it goes back, it's like flashback mode, goes back to 1996. I was all of 18, and I was in my first year of college, and my father was so afraid that there's going to be a Chandramouli moment from Maniratnam movie, and I'm going to, get into all sorts of trouble. So I think he kind of panicked and had me married at 19.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and we moved to the US, and I got pregnant almost immediately. So I had to finish my education through correspondence, and then I did my master's in California State in childcare, and then I did my MBA also in California. And I wanted to spend as much time as possible with my daughter, because obviously in the US you don't have that much help. So,
Right.
Trying to juggle being a mother and studying and all of that, I took up a part-time job in her preschool, and primarily because I wanted to spend time with her. And that's when I realized that I was having so much fun. I was thoroughly enjoying spending time with all these children.
Wow, for most of us, our kids, I mean, they themselves are a handful and enough.
Oh no, I think it's like an extension of me. I figured out that I was having so much fun with these children, and so I started volunteering. Then I became the manager of Jimbri Corporation in California, and so all my training was with children. So it is just a natural progression that I have to come back to India and do something. So back in 2002, when I decided to start a preschool back in Chennai, I did a lot of research and I found out that there were only creches, and there would be grandmothers running daycare centers in a parking lot. And so when I wanted, my daughter was all of 4 and my son was 6 months old when we moved back to India. And I wanted to take them out at say 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Where would you go? I mean, Chennai, our choices were so limited back in 2000, 2002. It was Marina Beach, otherwise some park which had rusted swings and slides. So I said, okay, let me find daycare centers, and I found parties or grandmothers who were running small creatures. She would have her mixie running, the tata will be watching TV, and the children would just do stuff. There was no structured curriculum in that. So
You
that's
kind of brought back a flashback for me also, because we moved from Mumbai so that I could continue working, because both my husband's parents and my parents were here.
right.
Till I found, of course, Bambula.
Bambula. Exactly. So I think it was a market which it was, we needed to kind of develop a structure for the daycare center. So it was, I just put the MBA, I put my early education and also my work experience with working with children, and put all of that together, and thus Bambula was born. And back in 2004 when we started, we were the first, or we pioneered a whole bunch of things as far as daycare was concerned, and also the after school program. So we brought in a lot of structure for the play school, the pre-KG, the daycare and the after school program. So it was very challenging to convince mothers, because I think in Chennai especially we're so used to having tata patties take care of our children. To convince them to drop the children at daycare was a challenge. But then we started with 4 children. Fast forward to October, we had 40, and fast forward another 8-10 months, we were at 100, and the growth just multiplied only because of amazing parents like you who would spread the good word that we were doing. It was basically one stop for children. We would offer close to 20 activities for children under one roof.
So I guess
So-
I have to thank you for my me time back then itself, with all the after school and of course the daycare.
I am so glad we've been able to help so many parents. I mean, it's been an amazing journey, and I think it's just been so fulfilling professionally and personally to start something, especially at that time when there was a dire need in Chennai for a professional play school.
Somewhere I remember you mentioned storytelling and puppeteering.
Yes, I am a trained storyteller and puppeteer, so I got myself certified both internationally and in India. Here I got myself with folk tales, so I've been attending a whole bunch of workshops where we do a lot of Indian cultural storytelling as well.
Where does one go to learn this? In
There
India?
are multiple teachers. There is the storytelling club. There's Jiva ma'am. There's a whole Dakshin Chitra offers a whole bunch of programs where you can enroll for storytelling classes.
And internationally?
Internationally, there are.
I mean, was it online?
Oh no, I went for a course. I went for a 15-day course in California.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So that's what it was. So Bambula's journey has been more than fulfilling, and I wouldn't change a thing.
You do tremendous amount of things. Now, how do you make time for yourself?
So as I mentioned, I became a mother very early in life. So it was at 20 I had my first child, and 24 I had my second child. And then especially I think women globally, and especially Indian, we are so tuned to putting
Giving to
family,
others, yes.
family first. Everybody else, it's like you put your children ahead of you, you put your parents, your in-laws, your husband, everybody ahead of you, and you tend to put yourself in the back burner. And that's exactly what I did from the age of 20 to 35. Everything was ahead of me. I never been to a gym. I would prioritize everything but myself. Not that I regret it. I love being a mom. I mean, I still do. I love being there for my children. I definitely would put them ahead of me. All of that is fine. But I did notice that I was not fulfilled, or I felt that something was missing. I was not feeling like I had an identity of my own. It was more like Sanjana's mother, or some it's Ved's mother, kind of a thing. So I'm like, what am I doing for myself? And I remember very vividly, it was my 35th birthday. My brother called and wished me, and then my mother called and wished me, and that was it. I had no friends. I had literally no friends. And I was like, what happened to the 18-year-old who was partying in Mumbai and had a whole bunch of friends? And that's when I realized that, my social circle or everything revolved around the children and the family and the school, that I forgot to bring myself into limelight. So that's when I decided that I need to figure out what I wanted to do. And I went out and started making friends at the age of 35. It was weird, but I think it was very.
I think that happens to all of us at some point.
Yeah, I know, but unfortunately, many people are like, "Oh, idhukku mela, what should we do?" But I'm so glad I did. I did a lot of experimenting with a lot of things. I realized that I'm a complete outdoor person. So the gym didn't work for me. I started running, I started cycling, I started surfing at the age of 40. And then I discovered hiking and trekking. And I have now a whole variety of people who are my friends from different, it's like half of them are. I started biking. I would have never thought, because I'm petite, I would have never thought I would be able to handle a bike. But then I had some amazing coaches and they trained me, and I actually biked across Leh Ladakh, Spiti Valley, Chiang Mai, all of that. So it's been a fascinating journey the last 10 years.
So then you really need to share with our viewers, and of course with me, who's always trying to find hacks to create more time for ourselves, right? If you're doing so many things professionally and so many things in your me time, how do you create that time?
I think, as I was mentioning, it is important to prioritize yourself. Initially, I felt very selfish. I felt like I was doing something wrong. I was, I would feel guilty. There was a whole bunch of guilt. It was like, I'm not there for them when they need me. But then I'm like, I'm missing out on life. And there's so many things I want to do. And when am I going to get it? If I wait for them to leave home, by which time I would be older and maybe I wouldn't want to do these things. So I had a conversation with my children, and I told them that, these are the things that I'd like to do. And luckily I had a great supportive family, and they were like, sure, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. So I started off by taking 30 minutes a day for myself. Started off with yoga or running, and then I slowly added on different activities. And then I brought it down to 10 days in a year is my time. That's when I'm like, I can do whatever I want. So I started hiking. I started doing small hikes, and then by the end of it, I started doing these longer hikes. And then I started my first mountaineering, which I did was Yala Summit, which was a 15-day mountaineering experience. So I think it was very gradual. Nothing happens overnight. So I think you start off with a 10-minute time and then increase it gradually, and then find out what you're passionate about, and then follow your dreams.
Do you think getting me time has made you a better person,
100%.
both professionally and personally?
100%. I think it's so important to keep yourself happy, and once you do, you just radiate it back to the people around you.
So true, yeah.
So it is, there would be days when I'm like frustrated and I won't know why, because and then now I look back, it's probably because there was just so many things which I had suppressed. Now I'm like, I'm doing everything that I want to do, and I feel alive when I'm doing it. Like, it could be surfing. I mean, it was like a beautiful day today. So we went and caught some waves, and the whole day I'm like, all like an Energizer bunny. I'm like, so you just feel so good that you just give it back to people around you. So it is definitely very, very true that it's connected. You feel happy with yourself, you're obviously going to give it around to everybody around you.
Do you have any inspiration, role model, or some?
So many. I mean, just every day is a learning. I mean, it's like so many amazing people around you, men, women, and especially women. I mean, they're like constantly achieving greater heights. So just when you think, oh, I've done Everest Base Camp, somebody else is doing something else, and I'm like, dude, okay, you know. So I think that it's amazing. I mean, it's like everybody around me. There's just so much to learn, so much to do, and especially being a teacher, and even if it's just toddlers, every day is a learning. Every single day, there's something new that you're learning, and I think that's what life is so beautiful.
So true, because I think there should be more conversations with real women and not only high achievers and celebrities, because there's so much to learn, as you rightly said, from everybody around us.
And it's just sad. I mean, I think it's both positive and negative, but with social media and Instagram all over the place, we're like constantly thinking you need to compete. I don't think it's a competition. I think it's just inspiration. I mean, if you can just draw inspiration out of somebody doing something productive, and it's more of that. But there are people who are like, she competing. I don't think we should be looking, especially women. I think it's so important that we kind of inspire each other, and in so many things. I mean, there could be like my mom. She's an amazing cook. I mean, she's like one phone call away. I'm bringing 20 friends over, and she'll whip up a meal in like less than an hour for all of us. I mean, it's like a full meal. And catch me, I mean, it's like by the time I look up the recipe, and I mean, it's just things like that. I mean, it could be anything as small as that to anything. I mean, it's just fascinating that you can learn so many things from everybody around you.
In COVID, did you have too much of me time?
No, I actually had no time because we had no help at all, and we just we had a puppy come into our home during COVID, and so no staff, two teenagers, always hungry, and a puppy. So definitely no me time, but I mean, it was amazing. We had a really good time. It took us just like all families, it took us a lot of time to get used to the routine, and then we were at each other's throats initially, but then I think it all settled in, and it was an amazing time.
I sometimes feel that life just comes back a full circle. I mean, at our age, there's some connect between childhood to who we become. Do you feel the same?
Oh, 100%. I think a lot of what I am today is definitely because of my childhood experiences. So as I was mentioning, my father was in the bank, so which means we would kind of get transferred every 4 or 5 years. So we've pretty much been, most of India, and my schooling was in UK. And he would have a white passport, which means that we didn't need a visa to travel.
Oh, wow.
So I so remember he would come in on a Friday and he'll be like, guys, we're going to Paris. And he would give us 15 minutes to pack and leave. And so we would be like, oh, grab your jeans and blah, blah, blah. And we would just pick up and go. So my father used to love traveling. And even in India, when we were, in Gujarat, every weekend we would travel, and everywhere. I mean, it was just an excuse to travel. And so I think it was always there in me to travel, just pick up and go, kind of a thing. But then marriage happened, and children happened, and work happened, and all of that. So there was a pause from 19 to 35. So when I realized that I want to do things, it was so easy for me to just pick up where my father was, just pick up and go. And so it became a lot more, I think I'm more passionate about travel and experiences, primarily because that's what my father was there. So definitely a childhood experiences does play a huge role in what you turn out to be.
On a day-to-day basis, when things don't go your way, how do you bring things back on track?
I think that happens in every household. I mean, it's like
for every woman. I mean,
for everybody.
Every woman,
I mean, it's like at school. I mean, you go in with a schedule, and we're like, okay, today we're gonna do this in circle time. You go inside, and then you have a 2.5-year-old like, no, I don't want to do it. And so what do you do? So it's like you just need to change and adapt and do what they want to do, and kind of bring it back into curriculum. So it's that every day at home. I mean, I have. My day starts at 4:30, so I'm like 4:30, and it works like clockwork most of the days. But then there are days when things don't happen. So I think it's those are the days when it's okay to delegate or it's okay to say no. I think women find it so difficult to delegate and to say no, because you are so worried that if you say no, I can't
Yes.
do it, somebody's going to judge you and say, oh, you're not capable or you're not able to do it. Idu kuda panna mudiyadhu. It's just one day. Why can't you adjust? We find it so difficult to say no. I think it's so important for us to kind of say that, you know what, I'm not gonna do this today. I'm not able to do this today.
Yeah, just change it for
Yeah,
the
it's
day.
okay. It's okay. And initially, it used to be like I used to bring it, take it all upon myself, and I'm like, the maid doesn't coming. I'm doing the laundry. I'm doing this. I'm doing the kitchen. I'm doing, and then I'm like exhausted at the end of
And
the
then
day.
we explode.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's everybody who comes in the way.
Exactly. I'm like, one day the laundry is not done. Yeah. So, you know, like nothing
Correct,
happens. You know,
yeah.
it's like, so I think it's important for all of us to say no once in a while. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, although we will be made to feel guilty but I think all women should learn to say no when they can't, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And the other important thing is delegating. I think we take it upon ourselves to say that if I do it, this is how it's going to happen. And we're so cued into that we kind of underestimate when we give it out to
Right.
others, and also we're worried that, you know, what will they think. I think we need to get out of that
And
mindset.
also, I think we spoil our kids also if we don't,
Yeah, exactly,
delegate.
exactly. And this gen, I mean, they're like so used to, thanks to all the Swiggy apps, everything just hand delivered to them, you know. It is important to delegate, and it is important to share your duties with others as well, and ask for help. I mean, it's not going to make you any lesser competent
Yeah.
to ask for help. In all honesty, I wouldn't ask for help. I would take it upon myself to do everything, especially when you're a new parent. You want to do everything yourself. You take up everything, you know, it's like from feeding the child to, you know, everything on yourself. And I was realizing that at the end of it, I was like, I was not enjoying it. I mean, it was like more of, I would be exhausted. I would miss out on the smaller moments. And that's when I'm like, you know what, I'm going to ask for help. There's nothing wrong with it. And once I did, I started enjoying the finer moments. And I think that so applies in an everyday situation. And there is, so when things don't go your way, I think it's so important to pause, ask for help, delegate, and also learn to say no. I think that helps in a huge way.
That's a gem of an idea. Can you give us a few more gems for, new moms and youngsters?
Yeah. So you know, thanks to COVID, I realized that, I mean, we've been seeing the parents from 2004 to, you know, now the parents are becoming a whole lot more, not paranoid, but I think they're just super anxious in their children. And I can see the change every year. Parents want to compete. There are so many tiger moms. They want the children to do everything.
They've been always there.
They've always been there, but I see the growth. I mean, the numbers
it's increased.
have
Okay.
increased tremendously, and with both the parents working, technology. I mean, I have 2.5-year-olds who come in and they're like, "Oh, this is an iPhone 13 Pro," and I'm like, I don't know the difference between a 12 and a 13 or a 14, and you have 2.5-year-olds who are so tech savvy and they seem to know everything, because parents are just giving their mobiles just so that they can get time to do their chores. So I think parents, even if you're going to spend half an hour with your child, make sure it's like 200% there. You can't be on your phone and say, I mean, that the child is watching you, and it is so important to be there 200% when you're there with your child. And just like you and I, children learn by seeing, I mean, and experiencing it. So it is so important for you to be there, and they're going to watch you and they're going to learn more than what they're going to learn from books, more than any of that. They learn best by watching a parent. So make sure you're setting the right example.
I think for being there, they first need to spend time with themselves and go inwards and come and be present. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's so crucial. And with all the distractions these days, and there's just so much variety, and now Instagram and Facebook and all of that, we seem to be so preoccupied in other people's lives that we're missing out on the finer
true,
moments.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's so important that all of us, including me, that we take time off social media, a time off phones, and just spend time with family and friends one on one. And it makes a huge difference, especially the young children. I see the parents are just constantly running, that they're missing out on, and years just fly by. I mean, my children are now 25 and 22. I would kill to go back in time and spend more time with them, despite, and I truly have spent a lot of time with them, but I still feel it's not enough because it's just flown by. And so it is important that parents spend that quality time with the children, because it will go away way faster than you think it will.
So, what's the next big thing in your me time, Sujata?
So trekking is something that I've been very passionate about. And so I remember in 2014 when I decided to go on my first hike. And this is coming from somebody who has never stepped out of my comfort zone. So it's, as I was saying, my dad being the banker, we would have everything. I mean, we would have somebody pick us up and drop us at our hotel. We'd have a chauffeur pick us up. And then obviously with your husband, when you're traveling with family, again, everything is laid out to you. And then my first hike, I remember landing at Delhi airport at 12 o'clock in the afternoon on May 1st. It was like 40 plus degrees. And I was with 20 children, literally, because they were all in their 20s. And here I am in in my 40s. And they all had their rucksacks, and they were like, okay, we have to go get our bus from 2.5 kilometers. I'm like, it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon, it's 45 degrees, can we take a cab? And they were like, no, we'll walk. And I'm like, what? Kind of thing. And then, so these kids made me walk, and we walked for like a couple of kilometers, and then we went and we booked our bus tickets to head out to Manali. And then we had a couple of hours to kill. So we said, okay, we'll grab some lunch. They were going in and out of a restaurant and they were not eating. I'm like, why? And they're like, oh, it's too expensive. It's too expensive. And I'm like, what have I got myself into? Kind of thing. And then we finish all of that, and the bill comes up to some 6,000 rupees for 20 of us. And so each of us had to pay some 180 rupees, and I had only like 1,000 rupee bills, and they were like, what are you doing? So I had to run outside, change bills, and I had to give it to them. And I was like, what am I doing? And then we finally got onto the bus, and that's when all of them told me that each one works with World Bank and Microsoft and blah blah blah. And they were like, we're here on a 10-day, virtually like a detox. We want to connect with nature. We want to say that this is our budget of 6,000 rupees for the next 10 days. We're going to live minimalistic, and we are not going to be splurging. We're going to see whether we can, really connect with nature. We're going to be pitching tents. We're going to do everything on our own. We're going to keep it as simple as possible.
I'm scared to ask about the loo.
Let's not even go there. So I asked myself, can I do this? Because I've never done it. I mean, stepping out of your comfort zone at 40, and I was like, that is a huge challenge. And I said, yeah, let's do this. And so for the next 10 days, we were pitching tents wherever we could. I mean, there would be a stream, and they'll be like, great spot. So we would pitch a tent, and we would, camp there for the night. And we would take bikes. We did everything possible and made sure that we stuck to the budget of 6,000 rupees. And we did our first hike to Sarpas, and it was amazing. I mean, I think that was what really changed my view on life itself at the age of 40, because I was just connecting with myself, with nature, and meeting so many new people and hearing about their views of life, because you're so used to your daily routine and you're constantly meeting the same kind of people. When you're going on hikes, you're meeting completely different kind of people, and their thinking is so much more different. And being self-sufficient, you're so used to having people do things here. There you're doing everything on your own, and you stick to a schedule. And 3 o'clock in the morning, they call you out for coffee, and you start hiking at 3:30 in the morning. There's discipline. I mean, it is so amazing that it just transforms your view on what life is. And that's when my love for hiking started. And then I realized that there's so many things right here in your backyard that you can do. You don't necessarily need to climb Everest Base Camp or Ayala. There's so many things that you can do here. So like, for example, right in Chennai, there is Nagalla. So if you want to go, it's like an hour away. There's so many things right here for you to do. And for the next big thing that I am doing is Kashmir Great Lakes. So those are 7 lakes hidden in the 5,000 odd meters altitude. So you hike up and it's just serene lakes that's going to be hidden. So yeah, looking forward to that hike. And anybody who wants to start hiking, there's so many opportunities now. There are so many groups like India Hikes who offer hikes for beginners, intermediate, and advanced.
Okay, nice.
So multiple companies.
They'll
There's
tell
Get
you
Up
what
and Go.
gear to get and
Everything. You can even rent it from them if you don't want to buy it. So there's so many companies like Crampons, there's Get Up and Go, India Hikes. You can just Google them and there's so much information. So this is for somebody who's never been out there. So there are, day hikes, there are 2-day hikes, depending on how much you want to start with. So it's not like you have to get up and write 10 days off. You can start with a day hike and then slowly increase it depending on how you're interested. So, but that is something which I think everybody should try because you connect with nature and you get time to actually, because you're hiking, you want to save your energy, you can't talk to somebody, so you get to actually talk to yourself.
Correct.
And so much introspect you can do, and it just opens up a whole new world. So I strongly recommend that everybody gets out there and at least give it a shot. I mean, what's the worst thing that you can do? Not like it and come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it is important that you connect with nature.
Thanks, Sujata, for being here with us and giving us so many tips and hacks. And hope you've strengthened the resolve of all that who are watching to take more me times.
Thank you so much, Deepa. Thank you, and wish you the very best with Ishq Me.
Thank
and
you.
Stay connected.